Alan, tell us your name and what you do.
How you doing? I'm Alan Bubich. I'm the founder of Social Horsepower.
Now, you can answer this differently, as we were just laughing about the concept of profits. You can deal with it from your other businesses, but how do you think about profit creation in your business? Walk us through your mindset. Maybe it's a first principle, all the way to tactical process, where you proactively address things like gross margins or contribution margins in sales and marketing. How do you frame profit creation in your business?
Yeah, so in my opinion, that's a wildly different concept for a SaaS company than it would be for, if you own a restaurant, you're serving hamburgers. In your mind, gross profits is the absolute most important thing in your mind, right? If you have no profits, you're done. Um, for most SaaS companies, the exit is the profit. I'd say probably for 90% of us. So the goal is to get past the 2 million ARR threshold. That's where, private equity firms and other companies in the industry look at you and say, okay, this is a sustainable business being run by a muck, aka me. And private equity will look at us and go, okay, this person has made it past the threshold of viability. They probably don't know what they're doing.
They can make a profit, yeah.
And correct. Well, profits are a lot less important in that scenario. Basically, the ARR can be turned into profit, and I think what ends up happening is for venture cap or private equity or whoever's going to kind of take you out, they're typically looking at this and going, okay, they've made it past the $2 million threshold. We can now come in and turn this into a real business, and they look at it in their regards of turning it profitable. So for most SaaS owners, operators, the goal is, how do I get past 2 million ARR so that I can get into the right conversations? Again, 2 million is this magic number. There's several magic numbers, 2, 5, and 10 million. And there's different fish in the sea that eat the smaller fish based on those metric thresholds that you can get to. So obviously I had an exit with City Blast and SmartCenter. And those were profitable and got to 10 million ARR. Right now with Social HP, we're working on that struggle of getting to 2 million ARR. And like I said, it's a slightly different game in SaaS. I don't know how many other SaaS founders you're talking to, but profitability is not the be all end all as much as it is with other industries. So I might have a different viewpoint on that regards.
How have you seen your cohort as you listen to SaaStr, you listen to all the VC and the private equity podcasts? There has definitely been a sentiment change where it used to be grow at all cost.
Yep.
You had blitzscaling by Reid Hoffman, and now there are so many SaaS founders that got caught unable to raise specifically their Series B, C, D, and beyond, and so they got caught, we'll call it, with their pants down, because they raised their pre-seed, their seed, and their Series A. Now they can't get any more capital. They're not accustomed to being capital efficient. Their burn is out of control. So there's this kind of reversion back to building SaaS towards a PE playbook. What are you seeing amongst your cohort of friends?
Full transparency, I live in a bubble, for better or for worse, and I've been trying to kind of ignore all of that. And what ends up happening is conventional wisdom until it's not, right? And so we've been fortunate for the last 7 months. We've been profitable, but certainly I've experienced it firsthand where you look and you go, gosh, we've got 6 months of runway left, or 3 months of runway. What do we do here? And I am a big believer in trying to stay profitable. I don't like going around with my hat in my hand, and I don't like giving up equity. I like hanging on to it with two hands. I mean, I'm doing 60, 70 hours of work a week. you put in that kind of work effort and then you turn around and sell 10% of your business for $1 million or whatever that number is. It just never sits well with me. I mean, I've done it. I do it when it's an absolute last resort and a last necessity. Um, but yeah, one of the problems and one of the challenges that you're talking about was staying um, ahead of your burn or having these it's in a weird way, there's this, and I've done it myself. I had an office in Liberty Village. There's some sort of weird satisfaction from spending $15,000 or $20,000 on having this massive office in Liberty Village. And as you get older, you become wiser and you start to realize, what the hell am I doing here? These are ego buys. You know what I mean? You're like, it's like being a kid who's 19 with your shiny silver shirt and driving in your lowered Honda Civic, wasting your money on stupid stuff, and you're like, this is not enriching my life in any way. And I think that again, I don't want to. These are sound like blanket statements, but I think once you kind of get to that point in life where you realize you don't want to be looking for a lifeline, you don't want to be looking around at your company and going, "Oh crap! If we don't raise 4 million in this next 4 months, we're done for." Um, and yeah, like I said, what's wisdom today is not wisdom tomorrow. And I think the last 12 months, I think everybody's gotten beaten up a little bit. Obviously, there's been layoffs at LinkedIn, there's been layoffs at SAP, there's been layoffs at, I mean, Facebook, Google. Everybody's laying people off, and you know that's trickled downhill. Enterprises are spending less on SaaS enterprise. One of my good friends runs a fairly large development, like outsourced development shop. They're getting beat up. So those stories are all over the place. And if you can stay profitable, even if it's marginally profitable, you can use what I like to call the cockroach effect and stay alive long enough to survive the nuclear winter, so to speak.
My name is Courtney Keel. I am the owner and founder of Expert Marketing Advisors. We work with B2B tech companies and increase our demand gen. We're just end-to-end marketing, so essentially extra support for the existing execs and marketing folks out there.
How do you think about profit creation in your business? Walk us through your mindset, your tactical process and approach, how you're proactively addressing things like gross margins, contribution margins. What's your framework for creation of profit in your business?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. That's probably where I sit the most is looking at margins and numbers and we look at our current valuation versus our goal 5 years from now and sort of see where the rubber meets the road type of thing and how far off are we and what are normal percentages versus stretch goals, etc. So yeah, the profit, what did you call it, a profit what?
Well, just like what is your mindset all the way to tactical? How do you approach? Do you have some first principles you adhere to? Do you have certain goals? What are your
Yeah,
benchmarks for what does
yeah,
good look like?
I mean, so our principles are drastically different than our goals. Goals are, I'm number oriented. My background's demand gen. 2 plus 2 is always going to equal 4. So it's just, as far as the best practices on the numbers front is, have your realistic goals and then, of course, have your stretch goals and really push and then do a temperature check at the 6 month mark. Are we on track or do we need to pull things back? Sort of front this year we chose to front load a bit of our budget so that we knew as we got toward the end if we needed to pull back we could do that rather easily. um, but I think again as we know where our exit is or where our finish line is, we work backwards from that. So we know that this year we need to hit this and next year we need to hit the next and so on and so forth. As far as principles, guidelines, I mean, we have a mantra of swim together. We are very team oriented. So, if one of us takes a hit, we all take a hit. Everybody's got skin in the game in different ways, but, it's very much rather than having to let go of one person, if we're tight on numbers, we can all kind of take a step back and do a small reduction, then hopefully make up for it again at the end of the year. all kind of come to, round face as I'm
Fantastic.
sniffling.